Should we get into some nerdy news?
Yes, I think we should.
A lot of this news is kind of lukewarm news because, unfortunately, all the people who
Yeah.
leaked stuff were taking a break for Christmas. Fucking
How
weirdos.
dare they?
But we have still got some interesting things to discuss.
Yeah, we do.
So, rumors are rumoring and building some momentum that the Batman Part 2 will feature Dick Grayson and Hush. This has led to a very, very mixed reaction from fans on Twitter. And what I mean by mixed is people see Dick Grayson is going to be in the Batman Part 2. People see Hush is going to be in the Batman Part 2. So I've not read a massive amount of Batman comics, but I do understand Hush as a character.
Okay.
I would guess, based on what I've seen, that the people who do read Batman comics find that Hush is very, very rarely written well.
Mm-hmm.
And none of his motivations or things he does are unique to him as a villain, which kind of leaves them in the situation of why bother? Anything you can do with Hush that is enticing, you can do better with a different villain.
Got you.
So they're like, why would you do Hush? Do someone else. I'm not sure if you remember, after watching The Batman, I said, and we saw that Robert Pattinson said he'd love to have a Robin. He said he'd love Jason Todd, and I was like, no, I don't want them to change the ordering. So we need to have Dick Grayson.
Yeah.
I'm very excited to see we're going to get Dick Grayson. And although this is a gritty Matt Reeves world, I need Dick Grayson to be this little ball of energy child. And it's going to seem like a really weird counterbalance.
Yeah.
But that's exactly what Robin is supposed to be.
Yeah.
I need an almost Spider-Man-esque energy to it, of just like him joking and chatting and making jokes and annoying henchmen the entire time. Because that is what Robin is, through and through.
Yeah, I mean, you can definitely get that and still keep it within Matt Reeves' world.
100%.
Because like even it just toned down a bit from the comics is still a big contrast to what Batman will be like.
Exactly. And also, I hope they go really bright with the suit. Don't even give it an armored look. Give it that really bright and yellow. They will give it an armored look, I know, but I don't want them to. Because whether we want to admit
I don't
it or
know.
not,
because the aesthetic they went with was very much of like Bruce Wayne in his own garage. What would he build with his bike and his car?
Yeah, but his suit was also armored as fuck.
It was. Well, it was armored, but it was like padded armor.
Yeah.
So like it could still be, if he's like having to whip up some thing for a kid, it could bomber jacket and cargo pants.
The thing that a lot of people miss with Robin's costume is that, it's so bright, it would be so obvious. It's like, that's the point. Batman made it bright so that Robin really had to stick to the shadows and follow his training. Otherwise, he's going to stick out like a sore thumb.
Also, basically uses him as bait.
There is a prevailing fan theory that there is also the case of, well, if one of us is going to get spotted, it's going to be you, and then they won't be looking for me.
Yeah.
We take that with a pinch of salt. But yeah, it forces Robin to stay in the shadows.
Yeah.
If he goes somewhere where there is light, he's going to be obvious. So go where there isn't light. If there's no light, the color doesn't matter.
True.
So yeah, I'm very excited for that. Although I saw a post that had Dick Grayson, Hush, as well as a few other names thrown in, that James Gunn did go, this is bullshit.
Right.
But I'm choosing to say that he only was saying bullshit about the other parts because I want to huff my copium and believe that Dick Grayson is going to be in the Batman Part 2. And they're going to cast an actual 11-year-old boy, which does mean that I can't be Dick Grayson, but I can live with that. Now, normally we would do a bit of a wrap of 2023 in an episode like this.
Yeah.
But there was so much talk about that I didn't really think about it. But I have got a little wrap of 2023.
Okay.
The most pirated shows of 2023 list has been revealed. This is always my favourite list of the year because this is always evidence of what the most hype shows were of the year.
Yeah.
That is how this has always been. That's why Game of Thrones was always at the top and stuff like that. This is what are the most hype shows that year,
Mm-hmm.
and it gives us a bit of indication. So, in number one, which I had forgotten about because it was earlier in the year, but I'm not surprised by at all, was The Last of Us.
Yeah, not surprised at all.
No, I absolutely see why. Especially bearing in mind because of the streaming services it was on, it wasn't easily available in a lot of the world,
Yeah.
which kind of means it has to be pirated.
Mm-hmm.
Number two, The Mandalorian season 3. The
No.
Mandalorian, I'm
Yeah.
pretty sure, is always on this list when it has a season that's come out that year, so it doesn't surprise me once again.
Yeah.
Number 3, Loki.
Mm.
I didn't even think about it because it felt like, although people who watched it loved it, it didn't feel like it was spoken about that much.
Yeah. Though
But maybe
I mean, talking to my brother-in-law, he's kind of stopped watching most Marvel things, but he loved Loki. And I think a lot of Marvel fans got pulled back in with the reception of Loki.
maybe
So possibly those ones that had stopped paying for Disney Plus, but like, oh shit, I'm missing out on a really good show and just went
I,
to the high seas.
yeah. Hi ho. Number 4, Ahsoka.
Not surprised.
No, not surprised at all. This one really did surprise me.
Yeah, this does.
Secret Invasion.
I don't.
Everything else so far on this list had really, really good reviews, and
Mm,
everyone was very positive about. So I see why people who don't want to pay for stuff would be like, "Oh, I've heard this is good. I'll go watch that."
hmm.
Secret Invasion, although we enjoyed most of it up until the end,
Yeah.
got very middling reviews from basically everyone.
Mm,
Like for every really good review for the early episodes, especially like ours, there was someone who hated it. So I'm amazed that there was people pirating this in enough like capacity
yeah.
to
Make this list.
reach this list.
Yeah, it does surprise me.
Yeah.
I don't
Um
know if it was because it had like a okay start, so maybe people were like, "Oh, this maybe is interesting," but I don't
so I'm
know.
trying to think, was there anything else really coming out alongside Secret Invasion? It was it was the middle of the strikes. There wasn't a lot going on, was there?
No.
Maybe that's part of the reason, but that one surprised me. I was surprised to see that on the list.
Yeah.
Next up is a show I don't know anything about called Silo.
I don't have a clue what this is.
It's a drama series that was on Apple TV. Oh, I saw something about this on TikTok. That is why it will be on this list.
Oh.
Um, it was one, like them shows that get split into a million parts for
Yeah.
TikTok. It was one of them.
So it was the
Um,
TikTok channels pirating it
Probably, yeah.
then.
So like as broad strokes I can possibly get, in the entirety of society lives in a big underground bunker because of a nuclear wasteland up top,
Ah,
and
classic
anyone
things.
who asks what happened
Gotcha.
gets kicked out.
Got you.
A woman became really obsessed. Her husband was a police officer. She said, "I want to know what's going on," so they kicked her out, and he was forced to kick her out.
Got you.
Then he got really depressed and basically, instead of killing himself, just said, "I want out," because that's
Hmm.
like getting them to kill him instead. And then, by the sounds of it, like when he gets out there, they find this whole conspiracy of people who can actually live above the ground, and his wife is out there. Blah 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 blah.
Got you.
I don't know more than that, but that I think is the general gist. Um, Monarch: Legacy of Monsters, is that
The
the show that's
Godzilla.
set in the Godzilla world?
Yeah.
I did hear good things about that. That's not my kind of
Yeah, I think the
nerd
people that
delicacy.
have enjoyed the Godzilla films have been enjoying this as a kind of an expansion of that.
Godzilla as a brand is on a big resurgence. Like the reaction to
Mm.
Godzilla -1 has been phenomenal. Um, so
Oh
I
yeah.
imagine that's just part of that brand
Yeah.
recovering its power. Tulsa King, something I don't know again.
I forget. I think this was one that Oh, this is the I've seen this on TikTok as well. This is the Sylvester Stallone one where he's got out of prison and goes back to his gangster life, but gets sent
Got ya,
to Tulsa from
got ya.
New York or something.
Oh, so he like took the fall for something when he
Yeah,
was younger. He's come out expecting to get hero's work, and he's been given the shit assignment.
yeah.
Got ya. That actually sounds interesting. I might have to
I've
not
seen
pirate
some
that, watch it
clips and
legally.
it looked interesting.
Up next is no surprise to me.
No.
Gen V.
Oh yeah.
Gen V might be one of the most surprising shows of the year. Of like people heard it was coming, but they weren't sure what to expect, and then everyone was
Yeah.
just like, "This is great." So it doesn't surprise me that it's on the pirate list at all.
No, yeah, I agree. I
And then Ted Lasso. Ted Lasso was in its last season. Um, I imagine the pirating was a lot of old seasons as well as the new season.
yeah.
I mean, I watched all of Ted Lasso for the first time this year. I didn't pirate it. Jenna got a new phone and we got like a month free or 3 months free of Apple TV. So we binged it in that 3 month period.
Fair.
Um, and it was great. I'm not massively surprised that was on there. Um, so I think the only massive surprise for us is Secret Invasion.
Yeah. I
I,
still
I
like I don't really understand, but
everything else on here, I see why it might be on there. Secret Invasion surprises me. Um, Maybe it just shows that superhero products do still have a little bit of a desire out there. People just don't want to pay for it.
yeah, or Amelia Clark really has that many fans.
Maybe, maybe. Right, I'm going to go on a little bit of a rant for this next one.
Okay, I'll settle
Sorry,
in
you could
then.
probably tell from the amount of stuff I
And
wrote on
this
this.
paragraph
Yeah.
of a news
So,
note.
Zack Snyder has claimed that no one's interested in doing one-off superhero movies anymore. And they all kind of live in this cul-de-sac, he said about the movies, and everyone thinks that when they're writing one, they're going to get to do more.
Hmm.
And that's why they're not as good, because people aren't worried about the story, they're worried about the universe.
Hmm.
This is Zack Snyder, ladies and gentlemen, the same man who ruined the DCEU, whether it's by his own fault or through his loyal fan base's fault,
Mm-hmm.
sold his Army of the Dead universe to Netflix, which was a zombie film followed by a heist film set in the same universe 10 years earlier. Great universe. And then sold his Rebel Moon universe to Netflix, which is a
Star Wars ripoff.
rip-off of Star Wars that we thought might at least have some interesting themes. The first one's come out to dog shit reviews.
Yeah.
All the while, his fans have been lobbying DC to sell the rights to the DCEU Netflix so he can continue it.
Not gonna happen.
And people can more than willingly come to me and go, okay, but he's not trying to get the DCEU back up and running at Netflix. No, but he's also very vocal on social media. And at any point, he could go, I don't want to continue the DCEU or stop hounding Warner Brothers.
Yeah.
By people are responsible for what their fans do to an extent.
Yes.
So while your fans have spent 4 years, 5 years, however long it's actually been now, screaming and shouting and pissing their pants, telling DC that they need to sell the DCEU to Netflix so that their God Schneider can do it as he intended without their interference, and he's just sat there and gone and said nothing,
Mm.
is fucking insane. It is not such a small minority that he is better off ignoring it.
No.
It is a very vocal minority, and it is still a minority of people, obviously, but they are making enough noise that I can't fucking escape the noise. So there is no way he doesn't know it's happening.
Yeah, no, you like he
I don't like doing this because I don't dislike Zack Snyder. I quite liked his version of the Justice League. Does he make some decisions I don't necessarily agree with? Yes. That's what art's about, though.
mm,
But my God, his inability to tell his fans to shut the fuck up is
yeah.
becoming a big problem. And this self-righteous, everyone wants to do a universe, no one wants to do a film right now, when he's on his third cinematic universe in the last decade, is fucking outrageous.
Yeah, it's very bold of him to say that. Which do you know what? I think that's come from he wanted to do an R-rated Star Wars film, which probably would have been a one-off story. He got told no, so he tried to turn it into a universe. It's failed, and he's salty about the fact that Disney didn't let him do a one-off story.
Like, there is nothing, I promise you, stopping Zack Snyder writing these contained stories that he can do in 2 hours, 2.5 hours, and selling it to Netflix or releasing it separately or whatever. He is not being forced to turn these films into universes. I promise you.
No, and
Then don't
if
get me
he
wrong, there
isn't
will be a
writing them as
question.
universes, but then it's like Netflix and stuff are saying, "Well, we'll give you this if you do," and he's just giving in that easily. Well, that's his own fucking fault.
Yeah, defend your art. Go, no, this is a self-contained story.
Yeah,
I am. I
I,
don't dislike him, but shit like
I
this
would,
makes my blood boil.
I would like him to see to say just to come out and publicly be like, I am done with DC and superhero, like anything DC. Stop asking me to continue the DCEU.
But he
And
doesn't want
maybe
to.
no, because he
And,
wants
and
to,
yes, that's him. Yeah,
because he wants to keep the loyal fans because they have paid off when it was like the Snyder cut and he got his way with that. Like he wants that leverage there when he needs it.
this way by not saying he's done with DC. Because
Mm.
let's be clear, if he said he was done with the DCEU, that would not stop James Gunn calling him up if there's a film he wants him to
Mm.
work on. Yeah, but by not saying he's done with the DCEU, every time DC says something about Superman
Hmm.
or anything, you're going to get a
Hmm.
bunch of Schneider fanboys in the comments going, bring back the Schneider. And what happens then is normal people will go in there and they'll go, oh, yeah, I remember the Schneider films. I like Man of Steel. And they'll see what he's up to now. They'll Google, he's like, oh, what's Zack Schneider done recently? And
Yep.
they'll see Rebel Moon and they'll see Army of the Dead and whatever project he's currently working on. He is using it as free marketing for whatever else he's working on by osmosis.
Yeah.
And that might be like the most tinfoil hat I've ever sounded, but it's fucking common sense if you just look at what's going on. Like that's the
Yeah,
only thing that makes sense.
it definitely feels like he is willing to let these hardcore fans just spout what they want on social media because he wants to keep that leverage at arm's length, but have it there ready to use when he wants to.
Exactly.
So,
Exactly.
say what you want. But
On to Superman.
yes,
Superman Legacy has been confirmed to start filming in March by James Gunn.
exciting.
And he's also said in a subsequent post there will be no announcement / reveal of the costume before filming starts.
I like how he states before filming starts because he knows it's going to be a battle for that to not get leaked.
That leak on Twitter is gonna hit like a line of coke you never done. It's gonna be nuts. Twitter is gonna go into meltdown because that's gonna be the first droplet of the DCU we really get, and the person who leaks that is they're gonna get so many engagements from it. It's gonna be crazy.
Hmm.
Um, the real thing I'm hoping to see, however, is a very limited amount of like CG for it.
Yeah.
I'm hoping, I think we will get a largely practical suit for Superman,
Mm,
but it remains to be seen. And maybe they pull off a masterstroke and they manage to keep it hidden most of the time.
imagine.
Um, More DC news.
Yes.
Peter Safran has said Jason Momoa will always have a home at DC, even if it isn't as Aquaman, which might add a bit more fuel to the fire of them considering him for Lobo.
Yep.
He did also go on to say, scratch that, he'll always have a home with Warner Bros. Because his next film is Minecraft movie.
Yeah, I forgot he's doing.
So just a little bit of a promo for the Minecraft movie while
Yeah.
he was making that very interesting comment. So I thought, in light of his hard work, I'd also share that. um, I I am continually flip flopping between whether I think Jason Momoa is hanging around for the DCU or if they've both just agreed if the right thing comes along, they're happy to work together again.
I would say, from what I've watched of like other kind of stuff Jason Momoa's put out that's not been like filmed, like oh, he has a YouTube channel and stuff, and he's put stuff out over the years showing more of his personality. I think he is this kind of guy that's like he enjoys superheroes. He enjoyed being Aquaman. He's down if they come to him and say, "Oh, we'd love for you to play this character." I think he'd totally be down for it. I don't think it's necessarily as like he's trying to hang around hoping he definitely gets into the DCU. I think he's just a genuinely enjoys what he gets to do and the people like he also this like we say, Loba. There's a few roles that he could very easily fit in, and if the guys there like him, then there's a high chance we see him again.
Yeah. I think as of right now, I'm sitting more on the side of there's not a role he's already been cast in or working on, but they've both very openly said to each other, "Hey, if the right thing comes along, you'll get a phone call." And he's like, "And I'll answer the phone call."
Yeah.
And it doesn't seem like there's any bad blood in that at all.
No.
Um, and although this is in the news segment,
Mm.
um, I can't think of a better time to do it. The DCEU is officially over.
Mm.
What was your highlight? What was your low light? Just the one.
That's my highlight. Now, are we saying the Blue Beetle is DCU?
Yes,
Okay.
that is
I'm
DCEU.
just checking. It's not part of this. I'd probably say it's hard to pick. Either there's two that would probably be my highlights.
Go on.
Suicide Squad 2
Mm-hmm.
and Man of Steel. For low light, where do I start? The rest of the DC. um, I don't know if it's the Justice League mess or honestly if it was Flash. Though I don't think Flash was terrible. It's hard because it's kind of just been so long of just mediocre shit from them. I
Yeah. You
don't know
do find
what's the
yourself asking the
worst.
question, do I hate this more because it's been mediocre for so long? Or
Yeah,
is it actually getting worse?
I think the Justice League mess is probably my low light.
I'm pretty similar to you with where I'm struggling with stuff. Highlight is probably similar to yours, the Suicide Squad by James Gunn
Hmm.
or Blue Beetle.
Yeah, I mean, oh yeah, Blue
Um,
Beetle, obviously.
Blue Beetle, although it's come in a very down year comic book, no one will ever be able to convince me that wasn't a really good film. I don't care what the box office says. I don't care what the idiots on Twitter say. That is a very good comic book film. Um, and it sucks that it's even in passing connected to the DCEU.
It's in the weird limbo state, so we can allow it.
Yeah, but the Suicide Squad is one of my absolute favorite comic book
Mm.
movies. It is everything I want a comic book movie to be in a lot of ways. Um, Low light is depending on the day and mood you catch me in. It's one of three.
Okay.
The Flash, because I had such high hopes for it,
Mm.
and it managed to miss so badly.
Hmm.
The Justice League, because it is the first and potentially only time I've left the cinema actively angry, which I know sounds fucking stupid, but I am normally such a recency bias merchant that
Yeah.
even films I grow to not like, I don't think are terrible when I leave the cinema.
Mm.
But sitting there, I wasn't enjoying it. Like even the atmosphere of a cinema, which like makes me happy, couldn't make me enjoy the film. Um, or Batman versus Superman because it was just
Oh
terrible,
yeah, forgot
just
about that.
terrible. There has been a conversation on Twitter recently of people trying to rewrite history and say it was a good film.
No.
It wasn't. And the
Oh, I
bit that
forgot
annoys me the
about
most is the
this.
idiots who try and claim that, oh, if you didn't like it, you're not smart enough.
Oh, I
We have
genuinely
established on this
forgot.
podcast media literacy is at an all-time low. I promise you that
Yeah,
film is dog shit.
I
It's dog
you
shit. Man
I
of Steel
hate
is
that
good. Batman vs Superman is dog shit.
I hate that you've reminded me that film existed.
So yeah, it depends on the mood that I'm in. Um,
Mm,
the Flash is probably isn't as low as the others. I think it might suffer more from a case of it was mediocre for so long that it was a final nail in the coffin,
yeah,
as well as I thought it could be good and they managed to fuck it up.
yeah,
Um, but it's probably Batman vs Superman or Justice League. Just terrible. Um,
yeah.
but we're going to 2024. There is a lot less coming out this year. There's probably going to be a lot more of us grabbing random shit to talk about. Maybe going back and looking at old stuff. Who knows? We will
Hey, there's
see.
a lot of Star Wars coming out this year, so
There is a lot of Star Wars coming out this year.